So what I want to focus on with hormones today is the transition between childhood into becoming a woman. And it can be a tricky transition, as anybody who's gone through it knows, and also any parent who has a teenage daughter right now knows. A lot is changing. Our focus in life is changing. Our interests are changing. We don't necessarily feel that we're certain who we are. We get pretty certain that that our mothers are wrong. And that's a normal part of the process. I always tell my moms who bring their teenage daughters in, it's pretty normal for a teenage daughter to start questioning the mother's authority, and to start, asserting her own will. That's how we start to differentiate. But with the onset of menses happening so young in girls, that can start happening before parents are ready for it to happen. But how we can support our children is really making sure that they've got good nutrition. Nutrition is that foundation for all the hormones to work. So we really need to get the liver healthy, as I mentioned in the previous video. The liver is what's going to conjugate out the hormones, cycle them out of the blood when the body no longer needs them. Remember, women's hormone cycles, they go up and down, the hormone levels, and the liver is the thing that filters out the hormones out of the blood, as I said, that are not needed at that time of the cycle. And when the liver is gunked up, it doesn't do a good job of that, and we start getting symptomatic. So things like, tender and swollen breasts, weight gain, menstrual cramps, fatigue, all of those things can be a result of the liver not properly filtering out the hormones. So we want to do everything we can to support liver health during this phase. And some of the things that support liver health are, of course, a diet that is nutrient dense. The body needs, in order to do everything it needs to do, nutrients, and it gets those nutrients from the food it eats. So things like leafy green vegetables, and you can get creative with this with our teenagers. Maybe make a chocolate shake and put some greens in it so they don't really know, they're not tasting the greens. Maybe cut it up really small and put it into tomato sauce that you're making on some healthy pasta. Something like that, some ways of hiding the greens. So we got to get greens in. The other thing that really is important are healthy fats, and very often young girls can be concerned about their body image, and we're still living off that old model of fat is bad for you. Bad fat is not good for you. Bad fat is bad for you, but good fat is essential, and they are two different beasts, right? So you can't throw fat out because it's bad for you, because it's bad fat. When you do that, your body is, particularly your hormone cycle and your brain health, get really taxed without healthy fats. So you want to make sure you're getting in healthy fats. Avocados, in coconut oil, and salmon, healthy fish, things like that. And then we want to make sure that we're getting enough movement, not over-exercising. Over-exercising really taxes our hormonal system, but we want to make sure that we're moving, walking, dancing, yoga, things like that are so healthy. We want to get our daughters involved in activities, in sports, soccer, baseball, whatever your daughter loves to do, but make sure that she's moving. That's super important to keep that liver filtered. Another important thing is enough water. So making sure that she's getting enough water in, and we've got to stay away from the plastic water bottles, ladies. They are killing us. Because the next subject is the chemicals. We've got to get the number of chemicals our daughter is exposed to down. And there's a couple of resources I like to do to help us do that. I like to use to help us do that. One is called Skin Deep. You can go online, you can Google it, and in Skin Deep they rate products by how clean they are. And clean meaning how few chemicals they have, how few xenoestrogens they have. And then there's an app for your phone called Think Dirty that you can actually use in the store to scan a product, and it'll rate it for you. We've got to get the chemicals out of their bodies, because most chemicals in the body act as xenoestrogens. They act as estrogen, and they're driving that hormonal imbalance. They're gunking up the liver, and they basically are wreaking havoc on our systems at all ages of life. This is true of men, this is true of young women, this is true of fertility years. We've got to get the chemicals out. So again, for those young girls, we need good nutrition, we need to get moving, and we've got to get the chemicals out. And in most cases, that'll take care of it. Now, there's one other thing I want to mention, because I have yet to find a young girl who has a belly button piercing that isn't messing with her hormones or her thyroid. So think about it. We, as can remember the days of TV antennas. Your daughters probably aren't going to remember that. And TV antennas do what? They attract electromagnetics, they attract radio waves, they attract things to it, right? So we stick that nice little piece of metal on the center line of our body. In Chinese medicine, that center line is the main acupuncture meridian that regulates, called the Chong meridian. It regulates the hormone. So we're putting an interrupter in there. Now our Chong meridian, which works within the electrical realm, is getting bombarded with messages coming from cell phones and radio waves and all kinds of messaging. So belly button piercings, they gotta go. Super, super important. I hope this helps you to support your daughters, have an easy time through this transition. If they're having digestive issues, then you really want to get them to a holistic healthcare practitioner that can help them deal with that, because that's going to affect the menses. Anything in this lower half of the body that isn't functioning really well is going to affect the hormones. So you want to get them somewhere and get them some support. There's a lot that we can do nutritionally and herbally to support them, even if they're struggling to get the good stuff in their diet. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll look forward to sharing some more with you in our next video.